So I'm Amanda Villarreal Salvo. People call me Mandi, and I am part of the Wilco YRs, the Williamson County Young Republicans, and I live in Hutto, Texas. So it's a cute little hippo town, and I'm running for city council here in Hutto. So what the city council members do in Hutto is, and all city councils across the board, really like your water utilities, your traffic, infrastructure, economic development in your cities, partnerships with really big companies. So, for instance, the big water park that just came out into Round Rock, Kalahari, that was a multi-city effort between not just Round Rock, but Hutto, Pflugerville, Georgetown, and so it's working across city lines. It's also working with your independent school districts because you have half of the taxes that people are paying in your city go to your school districts, and so we work with the schools on planning out neighborhood routes that school buses will be doing for pickup drop-offs, making sure the traffic studies are done. What's the traffic study on busy roads when new development is coming in, approving plats and zoning for industrial and commercial. It's really like everything that surrounds you on a daily basis, your city council is doing. And so that's why it's so important that you watch city council meetings and check out how they're using your tax dollars, and are they being fiscally conservative and responsible as fiduciaries with the taxpayers' money, because they're making big decisions that you're going to have to live with, leaving your neighborhood to go to work, or where are they putting a school? Is there enough traffic infrastructure or street infrastructure to be able to get to that school? So anyway, there's a lot of ways that the city council impacts the minutia of your day to day. The biggest reason is actually because I was asked to run. Residents approached me and asked me to consider running whenever we knew the big council turnover was going to be happening. The mayor stepping down automatically triggers a special election because now we have no mayor in a city, and so a special election has to happen to replace that position. Our current mayor pro tem decided he was going to run for mayor, so now he can no longer officially serve in the capacity as the place he's in on council. So that triggered a second place to be on this special election ballot. And so when this was all happening, I'm new to the city of Hutto. I lived in Austin for 12 years. I've been here for a year and a half. But I've been present and active in the community. I serve on our HOA board as the vice president. I go to city council meetings. I meet people, I ask questions, and it led to people saying, you should consider running. Like, would you think about it? So I thought about it, and I decided, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure I'm a viable candidate. So I actually, instead of paying a filing fee, I did a ballot petition, which is where you go around and you get people to sign your petition to place you on the ballot. So it's not an endorsement of you or I'm going to vote for you, but you should be on the ballot. Like, I believe in you enough to at least run. So I got all the signatures I needed, and that's how I filed. And I'm actually the only candidate running in the special that did that. And I'm the only candidate that's done that in maybe 6 years in Hutto. So that was cool to know that I'm running with the backing of people in the community already. Hutto is also one of the top, fastest growing cities, top 5 in the United States. So it's a really cool time to kind of get in on the ground floor of when a city is scaling. And so I'm a small business owner. I understand scalability, and there's this moment that hits you of what are you going to be? What kind of business are you going to be? And that's kind of happening right now with Hutto. What kind of city do we want to be? We've been this sleepy little bedroom town that people drive through, but then they put this awesome 130 toll and the 45 toll right by our town, and oh my goodness, people are flooding here to get out of Austin, to get out of Houston, coming from California, and we can't keep houses. We literally, right now, only have 6 homes for sale in the market, and they are selling for $200K over asking price. It's nuts. But so it's this amazing opportunity to come in and really help shape the future of the city. And I grew up in South Texas, and one of the things I heard all the time, the word that was associated with the city I grew up in was potential for like 70, 80 years. And I just don't want to live in a town anymore where that's the word that's synonymous with us. Right now, we do have the potential to be something amazing and great and create something unique that is complementary to the town surrounding us. And we've had a whole turnover of our city council and city management. We have a new city manager. We have a new CFO coming in. So it's like, this is an exciting time to get involved. And that's why I was like, yes, I'm going to come in with my marketing, my public relations, my mediation background, and we're going to hit Hutto. Great question. There's definitely a lot of anxiety when you feel like you're about to go file or make the decision to run. Like, you put it out there in the ether and you hope it's going to be positive. But I mean, what was hitting me in those early days was, am I a viable candidate that's going to be taken seriously? I mean, we're young adults. What a lot of old people, you're wet behind the ears. You don't know what you're talking about. Pay taxes longer, or get more experience. And the thing is, I really had to examine myself and have some confidence that I do have an experience that's worth bringing to the table. And I listened in the first days after I filed. I was challenged immediately by a few people that have been in Hutto for decades. Like, they are the old guard, the legacy Hutto residents, and they're like, who's this like new person that just moved here thinking they can be on city council? And had I not taken the time to really evaluate like why I was running, I think that could have scared me away. And I think that's why some people get scared, because politics can get ugly. And what I did with that is I was like, these people are just passionate about their community. They're on fire for the people that live here. And I shouldn't take it personally, but I should answer them seriously with honesty. And I did, and it was received so well to where, like, the next day, people that had just been bashing me on, like, keyboard warring like crazy on Facebook were like, I'm so sorry, you're amazing, and you have great ideas, and we need someone like you, and I'm so glad you decided to run. And that was really humbling and a really beautiful like thing to see have happened. The other thing that was really racking me hard was, I am an introvert, and I also have a pretty serious medical condition. I have arthritis in all of my joints, and I get IV medication therapy done every 6 to 8 weeks. And I was just like, my husband's the extrovert. He's the one that's super politically involved and goes out and talks to people. And it's very intimidating because you're doing all these candidate forums and you're asked a question and you have to respond immediately. And not gonna lie, it's super stressful and it can be really difficult. And I just had my first forum a few nights ago, and halfway through, first half, I was just like tense and like, I have to be perfect. I have to answer correctly. And then I realized, okay, this isn't a presidential election. This is a city council, like candidacy, like forum. And I'm Mandi, like I am me. And I know what I'm bringing to the table. And I know where my deficiencies are. And I just need to have fun with this, because if I'm not having fun, why do it, right? And so that was how I like overcame the fact that like, oh, well, I'm a bit more introverted, and just because I'm introverted doesn't mean I don't have something to value. And I know a lot of people out there are like, I don't want to talk to people, or I'm scared, or I'm anxious. And that's okay. Like, own it. Like, be honest about it, because people want to see that you're human and fallible, and but you're honest about it. Don't lie about it. Because you're going to win over a lot of people that way. So anyway, those are the two things: was, am I a viable candidate, and can my introversion and my medical history be something I can overcome? So I have had many volunteer roles over the years. It's kind of what I've been doing since I was a young girl, but most prominently, I've been involved with the Arthritis Foundation, and I even did marketing and events and development, so fundraising for them in a professional capacity at some point for about a year and a half. And so the Arthritis Foundation has been a huge part of my background. And then I'm a foster parent, so my husband and I are foster parents in Texas. I volunteer with the Ronald McDonald House through my sorority I was in college, Alpha Delta Pi, and we still do it through the Alumni Association. And I'm vice president for my HOA here in the neighborhood. On the government side, my first job was actually at the Texas State Capitol, working for Representative Todd Hunter. And we didn't have a chief of staff, so I got to do a lot of really interesting things. It was kind of fly by the seat of your pants and see if you can do it. And all of those jobs and volunteer work positions that I held, they put me in a position to listen to people. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing that I learned working at the Capitol during a legislative session and then during interim, specifically interim, because everything just slows down to a snail's pace, was you're going to be on the phone with people from your district, and they want to talk to you about potholes. They want to talk to you about streetlights and the parks. And honestly, on a state level, that's not your jurisdiction. But what you can do is you listen, and you help them find the right person to talk to you about that. And that was something that Todd Hunter, Representative Hunter, really emphasized to all of the staff, was like, just listen. And because we're all from the district, you know what pothole they're talking about on SBID, or you know what streetlight. And that was something I carried over into all the volunteer work I did, sitting in the NICU family units, adult children's hospital. Is you're there to just be support for these families while they're babies, or fighting for their lives. Or the Arthritis Foundation, I am myself a patient advocate. I know what it's like to live with debilitating arthritis, 55 million people in the United States. And often people just want to share their story and talk. And I think that's maybe your biggest role as a public servant when you go into elective office, is listening. And so that's what I've been trying to do, actually, with the people in Hutto. Is I'm not coming at it with a bunch of hubris, I know how to fix this town, and I know what's broken and what we need to do. It's more of, there are a lot of people that have come before me that, are Hutto, they are the heart of Hutto, and my job is to listen to them and understand what they care about, truly, deeply care about, and then in my capacity, hopefully, as an elected official for them, work on ordinances and regulation and procedure to make their lives better, to make the small business owner that's wanting to open up a company in our town, that process as seamless as possible, or for our senior citizens to have diversification and housing options so they don't feel like they can't afford to stay in their home when their spouse passes away. So I mean, that's the stuff that matters, and that's why you do this, is to listen to people. And it's from all that volunteer work, it's from working in the government, that I learned that that's really the key. So the first week my husband and I moved to Hutto, or the first few weeks, we got our water bill, and it was shocking. Let me tell you, it was crazy. It was $300, 2 people, no children. What are we? It's not like we're have the most beautiful grass in the world. We're what is happening here? And that was when he and I both started going to city council meetings. I am of the mind that you don't listen to gossip and hearsay, you go straight to the source, right? So we were we're going to go to council meetings, we're going to ask some questions, we're going to listen to what's going on. And honestly, just by being present and then making public comments, oh my goodness, I wish more people would take advantage of the public comment forum. It doesn't matter what city you live in. you can go to any city because it's public comment. Like, you're not restricted to your own city. And you can look at the agenda beforehand that's published. And if there is something that you care about, like the type of housing that's coming in, or my water bill's too high, or I called the police because there were cars out front at a stop sign thumping, and we need to stop that. Like, this is your forum to come and talk to your elected representatives in a public capacity, and it's recorded, and you're putting it out there, and more people than you think are watching the live stream, or they're following what's happening, and that was kind of a surprise to me. I didn't realize people knew who I was from those public comments. I didn't know how many people in Hutto were actually watching that. But they are, and they're very vocal about things like that, and they want to know that you care, and that was my way of showing that I cared. Was I got involved. There was an opportunity to be on my HOA board, and I like volunteering for things, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I was elected to be on my HOA board by my HOA members, and was elected to be vice president as well. And so that actually got me involved in zoning issues, because our neighborhood was here, and then they put a commercial zone in front of us and a light industrial behind us. Did I know anything about zoning beforehand? No. But I went to council meetings, and I listened, and I researched, and now I can talk to you all day about zoning. And the fact that we don't have zoning standards. And my backyard went from being a beautiful farmland to an industrial complex with 18-wheeler truck bays and floodlights 24/7. And we've got a school bus route that's got 18-wheelers flying down it. And so anyway, when you start commenting enough about things, people will start to see who you are. and they take notice. And I mean, honestly, it's just about being present. I wasn't involved in like a specific organization, or I didn't have like this passion cause. I just knew that I cared about what was happening as our city's growing. And people saw that, and they were like, hey, you've got some good ideas. You're right on point. You should run. Okay. Sure. Well, overall, like just overbranching, conservatives tend to be more skeptical and cautious, and I really like that. We understand and embrace change really, naturally, but the general inclination is to take that change slowly. I think it was G.K. Chesterton that said, it's important never to take down a fence before you know why it was put up in the first place. And that's total the thought process for a conservative is like, all right, let's look at the issue, let's learn the history of that issue, and then let's see why was it done this way, and are there ways that because of growth, because of technology, whatever it might be, other cities have learned how to do it better. Should we evaluate it? So there's this value of tradition, respect for it. Goes back to that hubris. Like, there's thousands that have come before us. Why reinvent the wheel? Like, do we think we have the answers for everything? We shouldn't, because we probably don't. But we should challenge tradition. But conservatives also understand the responsibility of defending tradition. Most importantly, and I think this is really important on the local level of government, conservatives believe in autonomy. And the desire for autonomy is just human nature. We have this innate desire to shape our lives to the greatest extent possible. And when you're in local government, you have a lot of opportunity to empower people and to allow them to flourish in their day-to-day lives, not with big sweeping policy changes on a federal level or a state level, but with how they live every day. And you see that autonomy in our system of government with just our federal, state, and local governments. And unfortunately, federal government has taken to regulating much of what is constitutionally given to the states, and state governments relinquish a lot of the ownership of power, and cities like Austin are trying to overregulate as though they were a state. And I think if you were to leave it, conservatives believe if you leave it, that separation the way it is, people are going to feel more empowered by their government. And in conclusion, I mean, it's just that conservative voice on a council of 7, 11, 10 people is the voice that's going to be there to be like, yeah, let's grow, let's develop, but let's do it the right way, and let's challenge those traditions, but let's challenge them correctly, and come about it a smart, tranquil, educated perspective that, sometimes those that are excited to change, it's reaction versus response. That's what I think. I think conservatives like to respond, and we need more of that. So, yeah. And this might be because I'm more introverted. I honestly think that the first step, like once you feel the call, or you've been asked literally by a phone call, the first question is to really do a self-analysis of why you want to run. Is there a passion project that you really care about that maybe you can actually take care of through a task force or a commission appointment? Or, like, are you ready to represent the people, like either locally, at large? Because it's a very different game. Or maybe game's not the right word. It's a very different reason to go into this. And I feel like some people get so fired up about something they're really passionate about, but then you get into office and you realize there's so much more that you're going to be doing, and you're not going to just be focused on that one project. And that's where some people may not feel like they're happy. And I feel like ultimately you have to be happy doing this. You are a servant leader in the community, and it's that initial reflection of self. Is there another way to accomplish what I really care about? Or do I really want to be a representative of the people and have that responsibility, and really show up and be present and care about everything? Because you don't get to pick and choose what you care about. The people choose that, and then it's your job to see how you can facilitate it. And so it's a big question, and I honestly think that if we had more elected officials having that self-reflection time at the beginning, they wouldn't find themselves in maybe some complicated situations later on. And it's a really good way to make sure that when you are going through the challenging times of running an election, because it can be hard, you have that confidence to know why you're doing it. And that's so vital. Like, even with a little Hutto City Council election, you have to know why you're doing it. And I mean, that's my biggest advice for sure, Matt.